All right, we'll tell you about our beautiful Katina. I love Katina too. This is her book. Katina is a social worker. She is a counsellor and is just passionate about counselling, and wanted to be able to, her why was she wanted to be able to travel lots. That was one of her whys. She wanted to use writing a book to get to do workshops and seminars, and she wanted to be able to travel. That was a big thing for her. But one of the other whys was that she wanted to bring counselling back into the sexy field. Yeah, all these new therapies and things that were coming out, kind of counselling felt like it was a bit shadowed, and she wanted to make it hot again. She wanted to, because she really sees the value in good structured counselling processes. And so we came up with the title. I actually did a brainstorming session with her, and she loves a lot of the neuroscience. She loves a lot of the kind of stuff that's going on in that field. And so we came up with a whole new therapy now called neurocounselling. And she's owned that, she's branded it, and we produced her book for her, and she's just loving it. She has, this is only actually in the last 3 months or so the book came out, but she's been doing webinar series. She wanted to bring opportunities to travel, but it's actually brought her so much more than that, because she's now on huge workshop tours. She's being asked to speak at associations that she never thought she'd have the credibility to do, or the confidence. And she wanted to make a contribution to her industry, to shine a fresh light on counselling and bring the focus back to the fundamental skills and how those skills fit hand in glove with other therapeutic modalities and sciences. And so she's achieved that and so much more as well. These are just her recent, in the last 3 months alone, she's been in 3 different states. So she's getting her achievement of travelling already. She's been asked to speak at a number of different events. And she's just loving it. She's just loving that she's in a very short period of time of this booking, and she didn't even do a formal launch. Yeah? She just got the book out there, and it's selling. Each time she does a workshop, if there's 50 people in a room, she's selling 20 or 30 books. It's powerful stuff. Cool. So, what's your biggest takeaway of the day so far? I can't believe it's only been nearly a day. Like, it feels like it's been 3 days already. So much.
Biggest takeaway so far today is the fact that even garbage can be put into order.
Absolutely.
I think my biggest takeaway is I've got an awful lot of content already out there that I've done nothing with, other than leave it out there free for people to see on my website, etc., etc.
And just because this is a big key point, thank you for bringing this up, Ricky, just because it's out there free already, it doesn't mean to say if you collate it as a book, that's not valuable information coming together under one parcel. So if you've got 30 blogs out there, all relative to the topic you're talking about, and you bring it together under one topic, that is a book that sells. It's already shown. If the blogs are getting views, if they're already being read, then you know that there's an audience for them. You bring them together, and you've done them the service of bringing it together under one package. And I know a lot of bloggers that their first books were actually just 10 or 20 of their original blogs, and they just came together as a book and did really well. Yeah. They had a following as well, so you need to make sure the following is there. So what we're going to do with writing a book is actually focus on the different ways, getting out of the belief that you have to sit down and write. Yeah, which can be a little bit like, do I really want to? Or you'll procrastinate. You'll be finding that you're hanging out the washing rather than sitting down to write. Who does that? Yeah? You'll find anything. There's dishes to wash in the sink, or there is the garage to clean out, because surely you haven't been in there for 27 years and you've got to clean that out. Anything other than sitting down to write a book. So, what we want to do is find lots and lots of ways to not have to do it that way. If that's your thing though, and you love it, see, I love it. I actually love sitting down with a nice cup of tea, and I just do my blinks and my eye rolls, I do my contribution statement, and it just flows. Yeah, but that takes years of practice to block out the distractions. So what you want to do is make the commitment to yourself that if that's not your thing, if sitting down to write isn't what you can actually do, or don't find that a pleasant experience, think about some other ways that you can actually write your book. Use your expertise, yeah? and then interview other experts along with it. So it becomes a kind of an interactional kind of thing, and it inspires you to make appointments to have phone interviews with experts and become the expert yourself because of the kind of people you're associating with as well. So don't think you have to actually sit down to write and research all of this stuff. Maybe you can just have 5 phone calls with 5 top experts on that topic, take them out for a coffee, record it, ask them if it's okay to record it, get it transcribed, and you edit it or get it sent to your editor into an actual book. That's easy peasy, isn't it? A good editor polishes it, yeah? Your job is not to do the polishing, your job is to find the content and structure the content, and they will make it shine. So, traditionally we sit down to write. Who's used the, who has an iPhone here? You can actually go to the notes section on your phone, and you can start a new note. So that's just that little yellow thing on your phone. You start a new note, and down on the left-hand side, right-hand side, here, there's a little record button. You press record, and you say rabbit, 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 full stop, new paragraph, rabbit 2, rabbit 3, rabbit 4, full stop, new paragraph, rabbit 27, rabbit 86, full stop, new paragraph, and then you press send, and you email it to yourself. It's already transcribed. So you could actually take yourself out to the beach with your 4 chapters sitting in front of you there right now. Grab yourself a lovely coffee or a lovely fresh juice in beautiful sunshine, and you could actually talk your book into your phone and email it to yourself for editing. How easy is that? Does that make sense? So you can think out of the box. If you go to files, you've got look at everybody with their phones. That's so funny. All right. So you're getting the picture that it doesn't have to be the traditional let's sit down and write a book. You could make this fun. You could do it outdoors. You could do it on holiday. You could do it in the kitchen. You could do it at your desk if you want to, but it doesn't actually have to be the way that we've always believed writing a book should have to be. So there are transcription services. If you don't want to do that, yeah, and you find that technology too hard, then just record yourself and send it to a transcription service for less than $1 a minute. They will transcribe it and send it back to you. I use GoTranscribe, go-transcribe.com. It's cheaper than rev.com. And they have it back to me within less than 20 minutes. I can send them a complete video, like a 20-minute video, and it's back to me. Yeah, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And the accuracy is reasonable now. Like, you still have to edit it. But all of my videos, if I want transcriptions and things for my videos, I just send them all to that, and within a couple of minutes, it's all back. So you can do that with your book as well. You can just talk to yourself for the whole of today, going, this is that, and that's what this is in chapter 3, chapter 4, such and such, chapter 3, such, and you send it off to them, and they'll transcribe it for you.
Temi.com, T-E-M-I.
T-E-M-I, Temi.com.
And it's 10 cents a minute.
Oh my God, I'm in heaven. 10 cents a minute. I'm paying 80 cents a minute with GoTranscribe. So Temi.com. I'm so happy.
I've done it a couple of weeks.
Oh my God. I've got about 80 hours that I paid for sitting on GoTranscribe. I have to use that, and then I'll go to Temi. Beautiful. So do you get it? We don't have to make this hard. You could actually have a book out by tomorrow, a week or two. You're still going to get it for that. You've still got to do a little bit of work, but you could actually have it downloaded, ready to go to an editor within a week or two. Interviews, yeah, do the interview thing. It really brings your books to life when you have other voices in it as well. Have someone interview you. This is the most brilliant thing. I find I get asked to be interviewed a lot, yeah? And I find I always ask for a recording of it. Because in the moment, I just come up with some stuff that I think, and I listen back to it and I go, how did I say that? Like, oh my God, yeah? But if I tried to sit down and write it, it may not have been inspired to come up. So, do you get it? This last technique is so powerful. I've actually used this for the basis of quite a few of my little mini books and things. I've got a couple of little mini books that I use as lead generation. And I'll just sit down with a friend of mine, and her and I just get together once every couple of months, and we don't catch up very often. And I'll do it for her. I'll interview her about a topic that she's looking to write something on, and she'll interview me. It's fabulous. And we get it transcribed and we just edit it together. Wicked. So, ghostwriting. You don't even have to write the thing. You could hire a ghostwriter. Now, I personally wouldn't do it because I have a particular kind of language that I use, but if you're writing a generic topic that doesn't have to be your exact voice, a ghostwriter could be the solution between having a book in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks versus having a book in 3 years if you are a procrastinator. And once you get it back, you get to tweak it and make it yours anyway, but at least they could give you a draft manuscript. That requires a little bit of financial investment, obviously, but it's a possibility. I know lots and lots of people who've chosen a ghostwriter to actually write their book for them. Interview style, you become the expert by interviewing the experts. You don't even have to have a book that you've written. You could have a book of a collation of expert interviews on a specific topic. And if there's 12 experts in it, guess what happens? You become the 13th expert in the book because you sourced them all. You are then seen as aligned to them. Case study style. So you do the transformation kind of books. So you might actually interview some clients who've had certain successes, certain achievements, and you interview them. Ask them if they'd like to be part of the book. They can either have their name in or have their name out, it's their choice, but would they like to be interviewed for the book? Storytelling. The important thing about storytelling, if you're going to tell a story, is always start with a high, move to the low, the problem, the challenge, the greatest challenge, and always come back up to a high. And so following that format is really, really important. So in our 3+1 books, if we're doing a metaphor or a story or a case study, remember we need to start by their success first. We move to the challenge that they face to get that, and then we move to how their life is now. Yeah? So it's once upon a time there was a XYZ, then this happened, then I felt or experienced this, then I learned that, and my life is now, woo, this. Does that make sense? So you're taking them on that kind of fairy tale road. You go to that link, there is about 15 or 16 different storytelling formulas. So you've got the hero story, you've got the whatever story, you've got that technique, you've got that technique. And that will actually give you all of the different story techniques, and you just choose one that feels right for you, and you follow the structure. It will tell you, start with this, then that needs to happen, then this kind of needs to happen, then that needs to happen, then a third person needs to come in, then a second person, then this, and it will give you the formula, and you just look at how the outcome of that story would feel, if you resonate with it, if you have a particular case study that you're putting into your book, you go and find the kind of story that that case study fits in, the model, and you write their case study to that model. Yeah? And there's a Pixar story, yeah? Pixar, the cartoon makers, they follow a very specific formula to this, and that's where they get successes. So you can actually follow the Pixar format for stories. There's so many things, yeah? So that particular link gives you lots and lots of formulas for storytelling. And the art of storytelling is actually a really, really hard thing to do, and I struggled with it for a long, long time to get that kind of human element into things. Because I've just got so much information in here, and there's all of this knowledge and wisdom. How do I personalise that? How do I actually get that into some kind of human potential that relates to somebody else? And it was just by learning how stories worked and understanding the formula, that there's a formula to everything. Like there's a formula to getting your busyness and your expertise out of your head, and there's a formula to get it down into some structure. There's a formula to then create the human element with the story as well. Deal? Booyah. Alrighty, Grammarly.com. Who uses Grammarly? Best tool in the whole world. Yeah? I actually have the paid version. It's not much. I think it's about $90 or something. And the pro version, if you're going to get serious about writing, the pro version just has so much in it. You can test for plagiarism. You can actually upload your document and it will tell you what percentage of it appears on the internet elsewhere. So it'll search the whole of the internet and it'll say your document is 96% original. And then the 4% that's not original, it'll take you to the links to the sites where that exact sentence appears, and you'll realise that you just have to tweak 1 or 2 words of it, and the sentence becomes original again. It's very cool. Highly recommend Grammarly if you are going to do that. Basic and pro. Okay, plagiarism test in Grammarly is fabulous. The readability score. Who has done the Gunning Frog Index? A book needs to have what's called a readability score. And it actually goes by age, okay? So this is actually the Gunning Frog Index from 6th grade right up to 17, which is a college graduate. So depending on who your audience is, once you know who your audience is, it gives you the kind of language that you need to be writing in that book. So if you're writing to a PhD audience, do you think you would use grade 6 language? Absolutely not. Yeah? You'd have to be using 16 or 17 in the Gunning Frog Index. And so all you do with Gunning Frog is you take your document, minimum of 100 words, and you upload it free of charge. You just search literally at that link, gunning-frog-index.com, and you upload your document, or you copy and paste it in actually. You just paste in the words and press calculate, and it calculates the Gunning Frog Index. It'll tell you whether you're at 8, 10, 11, 15, 17, wherever you are. If you are not writing to the level of audience that you're writing to, you need to do some major tweaking, or you need to send it to an editor to make sure that it becomes that level. Because they won't understand it, or it'll be too simple for them and they'll dismiss it. So the average that you're looking for things like blogs and the kind of books that we're writing here, you needed at about a readability score of 11. Crazy, isn't it? Just high school junior level for easy, effortless read that people understand, that people want to read more of, that they don't have to think about too hard about the complex language or the jargon or the unique words, then the book is read easily for them. So a self-help kind of book would be a Gunning Frog Index of around 11.
Newspapers like 6th grade.
Yes.
They used to be.
Probably, yes. Yeah. But you might be writing your PhD and it would obviously be a 17. Yeah? So all you have to do, and it's free of charge, is copy your content, paste it into the Gunning Frog Index, and it will tell you what the readability score is. Same as your blogs. I do it with all my blogs. I do it at the plagiarism level. I do everything on Grammarly on my blogs, and then I pop it in here. Because guess what? Google loves well-written copy. It's a clever little thing. And it has algorithms, little bots out there looking for well-written, original material, and it shows it more. It gives it a higher ranking. So if you haven't put your material through Grammarly, or you haven't done a plagiarism test on it, or you haven't done a Gunning Frog test on it, then Google somehow can pick that up and it will not show it as high on the rankings. So with your blogs, if you want your blogs to have a higher ranking, run them through Grammarly, run them through the Gunning Frog. With blogs, unless again you're writing to a PhD level with your blogs, if you're literally writing to the end user, you want a Gunning Frog of 10, 11, that kind of level. Does that make sense? Yeah. Adding diagrams, we've talked about that before. Overcoming writer's block, we'll do a little bit of that on tomorrow afternoon. Mainly that's really about the procrastination level, and we'll deal with a little bit of that tomorrow. So I think we'll kind of stop there. We're looking at a little bit of glazed eyes and overwhelm. I think that's enough for today, do we think? Yeah. Can I ask, what do we call it? The Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Teddy Bear, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. But the amount of information, the speed at which I'm giving it to you, the quality of it, have we got it just right, or is it too small, or is it too big? Is it too much, too little, too small, right? It does take a long time to process, and you'll process more. You'll get lots of ahas tonight, actually. If you go through just read through your contribution statement tonight, read through your 4 chapters again, just have a little look at it. Not that you have to do lots of work on it, but just let it process tonight and let it marinate. Yeah? I think it's Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say, whatever you think about just before you go to bed, you are marinating on for the next 7 or 8 hours. So make those thoughts good thoughts. So your last thoughts tonight are going to be, I'm the upcoming author of... We had a question here?
The content of the book, the content of the book that I'm sort of been penciling in today is a bit like what I sort of do face to face.
Great.
And some of the things I do face to face are not my own. So they're tools or strategies and things. So how do you kind of introduce them into your book when they're actually not your IP?
You reference them as,
reference.
This is material from such and such, and I've adapted it for my clients in this way. Yep. And then you're referencing them. You can't actually copy their word-for-word stuff. You actually have to just give full annotated reference in the back. And I usually comment. I actually say it inside the paragraph as well. I actually say, this is something I learned from XYZ. This is how I use it in my clinic or in my practice, and this is how you might consider using it for yourself. If you want to know more, you can go to his website. Does that make sense? So you're giving full credit to them, but you're showing that you've actually analysed this tool and taken it to the next stage. If they've got particular caveats on their website and stuff, that there is, but as long as you are giving them full credit and sending them back to their site, then you don't need to. If you are copying half their book and putting in there, then you're going to be sued to high Hootspur, yeah? So, if it's just a concept, yeah? Like I might talk about, I'll talk about, in some of my books, I'll talk about Joe Dispenza's work. And so I'll just name Joe. I use this particular tool in clinic. I've adapted this from a technique that Joe Dispenza had in his book XYZ. And I love his work so much. Highly recommend you read it. So I'm giving full credit, recommending they go and read his book. But this is how I use it in my clinic. See how it works for you. Does that make sense? So if I'm mentioning that I'm giving you full credit for this, you don't need to get that approval. No.
So we could say, for example, not that I'm planning to do this, but maybe while the CPR process was working really well, here's an outline, go to the website to find out more information.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you're not saying my CPR process, yeah, you're saying that Joe Dispenza or Maggie Wild or whoever it was, this is how they use it, this is how I use it, see how it works for you. If you want to know more, you can go to their site. Again, I'm not an IP lawyer, so please, if you want to have more confirmation of all of that, if you have any questions about it at all, what they're using in it, err on the side of caution. If you have any question at all, any doubt at all, send what you're going to write to the person and ask for their permission. 99.9% of the time they're going to say, absolutely, you're promoting my book, of course I would. But the odd one person might not, but I doubt it. But always consult an IP lawyer if you're unsure.
If the person is deceased?
Good question. If it's over 80 years, the copyright has actually been released anyway. So if they died more than 80 years ago...
No, they didn't.
As long as you... So what do you intend to do with the material? Tell me what you're doing.
There's a particular trauma release exercise I use. I would like to put it in the book because it really works very, very well.
Yep.
But the person isn't alive anymore. So, and I just have the chart.
Yeah.
I went to one of his lectures and he gave out the chart how to do it.
If that's the case, if you're using their copyrighted material, even though they're dead, the copyright passes on to their through their estate. So I would be contacted. If you talk about the trauma release technique, that's absolutely fine because you're giving them full credit for it. But if you're using a document that they gave you, I would be speaking to either an IP lawyer or I would speak to, send a message to the family of that person or the organisation that person had built around them and ask permission to use it. And what I then do is say, with permission from XYZ. So I did this once with my smoking cessation program. I actually found this amazing smoking quiz in the United States. It was by it was a very formal, and they'd spent thousands of dollars developing this quiz. And I wanted to use it in my smoking cessation program. And so I actually emailed them and I asked permission, and I said, this is how I want to use it, this is what I want to do with it, I will give you full credit for it, can I use this? And they just charged me a $60 administration fee, and I can use it for anything I want.
Wow.
Yeah? So if you're unsure, just ask. 90% of the time, you're promoting their stuff. Like, I'm using the quiz and I get great feedback from it. So I get the kudos for it, but their organisation is still getting the kudos because I got the link back to them. But I asked permission first because it was their copyrighted material.
That's good SEO for backlinks too, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So if they've got stuff on their website, is that copyright?
Yes, because if you look on the bottom of the website, it says copyright whoever owns the website. Look, if it's your article that you pull together, you're not copying something of theirs.
Well, it is.
Oh, is it?
It's talking their Birkin. So he's got a breathing exercise on YouTube. You can actually look that up. Right? On there, he actually goes through his process, 3 different.
But see, if you're actually saying, like I did this with, what's his name? An American hypnotist. He came out to Australia and I went to one of his conferences. And he has a technique called the 5 to 0. And I just love it. I think it's brilliant, and I use it. I teach every client that as a stress management tool. And in my book, I actually talk about it. And I actually say, I forget his name now, it's Dean or Dale or somebody. The Dale such and such technique called the 5 to 0. I learned this from him in a conference years ago. I just love this stuff. Yeah, so I'm actually giving him the huge credit for it, and I put a link to his website. That's absolutely fine. If you're saying, this is not my exercise, but I'm recommending this exercise, that's absolutely fine. Starting at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and tomorrow we're working on, what are we working on? And what are we? We are an upcoming author, a course developer, and a digital marketer. Woo! Booyah! Booyah! Thank you all for joining.